everyone. Lauren Culp, your publisher and CEO at CUInsight.com. And I am bringing you a 3 questions video interview today with a really special guest from Alkami. Joining me is Jacob Leick, the manager of product management at Alkami. We're really excited to have him here, and we're going to be talking about business banking. So really excited about this conversation. Jacob, thanks so much for joining.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited about this.
Well, let's start. So business banking, but let's start with your maybe top prediction for business banking in 2023. What questions should credit union decision makers maybe be asking about their business banking strategy as they consider this year and maybe the future to come?
To me, the biggest focus is really going to be around, or should be around, what is my digital banking platform doing to help deepen relationships? So I think a lot of times we typically think about a kind of like more like a services model where, hey, we need to give access, and we need to think about, how to, allow businesses to self-service, things like that to help reduce costs for the institution. But I think there's a much bigger focus now on deepening relationships, growing revenue, growing, sales. And so I think if that's something for your institution that's not really a focus, this is a good area to ask a ton of questions around and really try to understand, what is my digital banking platform doing for me in terms of helping generate leads, identifying target candidates for certain products, and really allowing you to better serve your business community digitally.
That is amazing. I actually have a background in commercial lending at a credit union years ago. And I remember the business accounts were sort of the last, and business loans were sort of the last ones to be sort of automated or on the app, things that consumer lending could do. Business lending was like, well, you still have to come and sign the paper. So there's a lot of cool transition going on in the business banking world. How do you think credit unions can really identify revenue opportunities within business accounts?
First is really just looking at data. And I think naturally your digital banking platform has a wealth of information available. There's also, different tools that you could integrate with to allow businesses to provide information back to you as an institution. But first and foremost, to me, is leveraging some of the vast resources that you have internally around data to identify businesses. And one area to focus on that may not be as apparent is actually looking at your retail users. So what we found at Alkami is around 26% of retail users today in the Alkami platform are actually running some type of business kind of behind the scenes. And so, looking at transactions, and, I'm based in the great state of Texas. We don't pay income taxes in Texas. So if you see transactions around, tax payments for the state of Texas, that's a business, 100%. So it's kind of, leveraging all of that data that you already have to identify opportunities to really truly add value to these businesses. A lot of times people have their own side hustle. They're it's not like they're trying to hide a business or anything, or operate incognito. It's that they're just doing things on the side. You can help leveraging data to identify, as businesses are growing, which ones are candidates for, maybe you can promote them, business accounts. Maybe you can offer them, different like ACH capabilities. But so the, possibilities are endless, but I would really focus on, leveraging the data that you have, because you may not be aware, but there's a wealth of information that you have at your fingertips.
That is such a good point. And I think really harnessing that data can be so powerful. So how would you say credit unions are meeting maybe the rising expectations of business account holders, maybe when it comes to financing and lending too?
There are a lot of different things, but I would say, just to keep it easy, at the highest level, the expectations. So let's focus on that. What are the expectations? In my mind, and like what we're saying is the expectations are 100% around making stuff fast. I need money, like I need it now. And if you as an institution can't provide that to a business, they'll find non-traditional lending sources if needed to fund their business. And so to me, it's all around, that's the expectation, right? And so the focus would then be, what can you do as an institution decrease the time between when a funding need is identified and when the actual, loan is closed and when the business gets their resources, so to speak. And so there's things that fall into different categories. First is, again, data. You can actually leverage data within, looking at transactions, looking at the different activity of the business to proactively identify a need, maybe perhaps even before the business knows that they need funding. That's amazing. And so that would kind of streamline things. Also, I would say digitize or find ways to digitize analog processes. So there's so many things. I'm sure there's a lot of people kind of, who are kind of listening to this, this kind of resonates with them, but so many things happen manually, whether it's like, we got to receive a fax, we need like a wet signature for something, or I got to send this over to underwriting and they got to pull documents. And there's so many things that are just analog that can be digitized. So that's the other thing. There's a ton of solutions that fall under that category. And then the final one, which is my personal favorite because it serves both the business and the institution, and that's just I'd say digitizing the aggregation of information or the retrieval of data. And so this streamlines the application process. So think of things like if you've used aggregation just to see, in one online banking profile, you can see accounts across multiple institutions. There are tools to do something very similar to that, to provide information to the lender. So either that's, bank account information, you can pull tax returns that way. There's a ton of really cool digital products that provide the business with a really easy way to satisfy all of the different documentation requirements for loans, but then also provide a really rich and accurate source of information for the institution to use in their underwriting process.
That is amazing. Well, it sounds like there are a lot of really great, maybe business banking options for credit unions who maybe want to explore working with a partner like Alkami. But as we wrap up our conversation, Jacob, do you have any final thoughts for our audience today or final asks of our listeners?
I'll say right now is an exciting time to be doing anything with business banking. And if you want to learn a little bit more about Alkami or see a demo of our product, of our platform, feel free to visit alkami.com and you can connect with us there.
Amazing. Well, what a perfect way to wrap up. We will link to that in the post here. So anybody who is interested can click right over to your site and learn more about that, see that demo you're talking about. Jacob, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. It was really, really wonderful getting to hear more about business banking and all the opportunities that exist for credit unions. So I hope you stay well, and thank you to all of our listeners for tuning in today to the CUInsight 3 Questions video interview series, and we'll be back again next time.